Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. Today's webinar is on page layouts. We are going to be featuring Drupal 9 components, which is for websites that are in Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 right now. Let's click on the screen. Your account managers, this is your team. We're participating in this today. Christina Godfrey is running our message box and letting you guys in and out. Emily, also from our project management team, is helping with that. I'm Allison James. I picked my sunny picture because it's summer and I miss the beach. I'm in Kansas, so I'm not even close to the ocean. And then Jordan is with us as well. We are your 3 account managers. You should have one of us assigned as your account manager. If you're unsure who your account manager is, please let us know. I have each of our emails here. Also, just to let you know a little trick, I opened this Pandora's box, ladies. If you email am@oneeach.com, which stands for account manager, all 3 of us get it. So if you're really in a situation you're trying to reach someone, just that's something to know. Here's our agenda today. I'm going to do a quick rebrief on what's the difference is, like, for those of you who aren't sure, do I have Drupal 7, Drupal 8, or Drupal 9? I'll mention that. Jordan and I are going to share some of our best practices. So as account managers, we see cool stuff you guys are doing. You guys just go off and do it. And we tag it and say, wow, I'm going to show other people this because it's pretty exciting. So some of you might see your own sites come up as samples of what everyone thinks is pretty awesome. So we'll show some best practices. But we're going to get into the nitty gritty on this. We are actually going to log into site and we're going to add accordions and columns and modals and carousels and tabs and web forms and buttons. So we are going to cover quite a bit during the course of this. We are recording it. You all will get the recording as well. Then I'll mention the support site and references, and we'll have questions at the end. That's kind of what we're doing today. All right. So Drupal 7 doesn't have a symbol like Drupal 8 and Drupal 9. So the Drupal symbol, Drupal is the platform. If you've ever heard of Joomla, or some people are on WordPress or whatever, this platform's called Drupal. That's what OneEach uses. It's a very powerful platform, has a lot of cool bells and whistles. So the symbol is this teardrop. This 9, which to me looks like a fallen over P, is our goal. By the end of the year, we'd like to get all of you into Drupal 9. If you're in Drupal 8 right now, you're going to get a free update to Drupal 9. So if you see these items in the top left corner when you're logged into the site, it tells you what you're at. If you don't see any teardrop and you just see the black configuration bar, you're probably still in Drupal 7, and we have to get you upgraded. In fact, we just have to get everyone into Drupal 9 this year. So we'll be coordinating that with you. Talk to your account managers. We'll help you out. Okay. All right. So best practices. Here we go. We're going to spend the bulk of this presentation not in a PowerPoint, but actually looking at some real live sites. So that's what I'm going to take off and do. And welcome to those of you joining in right now. We are recording this, and we're going to do some shares. As I mentioned, we have a variety of nonprofits that we work with. A big chunk of United Way is about 400 of you. Churches, all sorts of different groups, Meals on Wheels, etc. So my samples are here. I'd really love to show this site. So this is in the new Drupal, I think they're in Drupal 8 still, but the Drupal 8 platform, Drupal 9 platform, United Way of Quad Cities, qc.org. Check out their site. Here's what I love about their site as far as page layout goes. What happened to us with pictures, I get questions all the time about images in the website, or how did it looks on the phone, and how do I make this work? And it's just been shifting for us. And the reason we've seen a huge shift in pictures has been Americans with Disabilities Act has been one reason. It's definitely promoted not taking that picture and just putting it on a phone teeny tiny, but actually cropping it down. So when I take this and I look at this on a phone, it actually drops off the sides and it keeps it nice and big, and that's on purpose. So that makes that picture area just a little bit more challenging for folks. One of the things I love about this site and its site design is that it's gone ahead and gone with pictures, not pictures with words on it, just pictures of people use the word box and done the color bleeds on the side. So also very creative that they've done here is when you go to their About Us section, every one of their About Us pages has a blue color bleed. And every one of their Our Focus pages has an orange color bleed, etc. So they've switched them out. How'd they do that? That did not come with the website. They went into like Photoshop or a photo program and they added that feature. So there's someone there at this organization with a skill set to do that. And you may or may not have that, and that might not work for you, but it is an option if you want to go out there. How great that looks on a phone, right? That looks fabulous. So just keep that in mind, that on the phone and on the tablet, it does cut those top images to center. But also as a best practice with page layouts, the top images look great. I highly recommend that you use that header image on all your pages. It really makes pages stand out. And then, you know, we're going to continue on with things such as the styling and using columns and putting background colors. So we'll do some more of that, carousels, etc. But they've really styled out their pages nicely on this site. Okay, my next show that I'm going to share with you, United Way of Grant County. This is their About Us page. What I thought was cool about this page that they did, they utilized a feature. It's not used a whole lot. Yeah, they have accordions and they have the carousel with their stories and stuff. But down here in their tabs, they're using something called a view. So their leadership, which has all of their staff and board on it, is actually appearing in the view of the tab, as is their partner agencies. So that's a styling that we can do within this Drupal 8, Drupal 9 platform. So I thought that was just a nice look to a page, okay? And I have one more share and then I'm gonna hand it back off to, actually I have two more shares and then I'm gonna hand it back off to Jordan. Okay, volunteer. I know there's a lot of volunteer platforms out there. This particular United Way decided to take their volunteer stuff and just build it in their website instead of using another source. That was their choice. So they've done a nice job with their volunteer page. They got this great scrolling carousel with some samples. They have boxes to take you to different pages that feature their opportunities. They've got them all in accordions. They got sign up buttons. They've got all sorts of different things in here that they built out for their volunteer page. So it's several pages deep. There's a whole feature to it. They did a really nice job with it. Okay, my last share that I have for you, and then Jordan's going to show you some best practice. I'm still logged into this one. So this just happened. One of my United Ways that I work with, United Way St. Croix Valley, they have a Success by 6 program. And she's like, I just don't like the way my pages are looking, because she had 3 or 4 pages. So she had this page with resources for parents. And she had a page with these events and this information, and she has more information to add. And then the feeling was, I have all these pages and people can't figure out where to go. Can you help me consolidate them? So she actually purchased our site maintenance and asked me to go ahead and do this for her. And so I took the elements that she had from before and I made a column on the side and put that information there, moved the video here, moved the words there. And I went ahead and grabbed for her some tabs to put the different features and resources together. And she has some more stuff that needs to be added to this page. But what was previously 3 pages long is now 1. So that's the kind of stuff that as you think about your website and you think about, like, last thing you want to hear from someone is, I can't find anything. I can't find anything on your site. Or there's like 4 pages. COVID was a great one. People have 4 and 5 pages on COVID. I don't know which page to go to. Consolidate it all and then they can find it. All right. I'm going to stop share if I can figure out where that button is. And I'm going to let Miss Jordan jump in and share some of her best practice samples.
All right, let me go ahead and share here. Hopefully you guys are looking at a Meals on Wheels of Mercer County website. One of the things that I wanted to point out was just, using these page components really helps break up pages. So instead of being left with pages where the user is having to scroll and scroll and scroll to find information, These are a really great way to kind of consolidate pages and make them a little more manageable for your users to find exactly what they're looking for and visually see it in a nice way. So I wanted to show some pages that I think do a nice job of doing that. This is Meals on Wheels of Mercer County. They have a nice banner image up here at the top of their site. They put just a little bit of information down below with a way to sign up or contact someone right away. I loved that they put in a few icons down here just as a reminder of what this page is about. And then they are utilizing the accordion page component, but they spaced them out a little bit. And I almost really love that little gap in between. And then they added a background color behind those components so that users can come, find what they're looking for, open it up, and they're not left with scrolling through all of this information that's laid out on the page. They can kind of jump to exactly what they're looking for here, or they can, click to make their referral. So a really nice page layout here. It looks nice on the eye. It has a ton of information in here, but it's not overwhelming to the user that's coming here. All right, I found another good one from SC Center for Rural and Primary Healthcare. They have a podcast that they're doing on their website. So they added a great banner image at the top showing recording their podcast, but they used page components within page components. And I think sometimes we forget that you can actually pull components within components. So they were able to break their podcast seasons out by utilizing the tabs page component. And then they popped an accordion inside the tabs to be able to easily kind of let users choose which episode they'd like to take a look at. They have their little description and a link back to the episode, but it kind of consolidates instead of having all of this information out in one tab, they've broken it out using those accordion page components, which I thought was really creative. So kind of a neat way. We see a lot of people using the columns page component and then pulling in accordions inside each column or pulling tabs into the column components as well. So don't forget, components within components is a thing. I also pulled a Unity example for all of our Unities that are on the site. This is Unity of the Blue Ridge. They did a really nice facility rental page. They added a great image of their church building right at the header. They have a description, short and sweet description up above. And then they are also utilizing those page components to put all the facility details, the facility fees. They're pulled in some background colors that are available on the components. And then they actually popped their event rental web form right on this page as well. So users can see a great picture, get a short description, and sign right up to rent that facility. And then the last page that I have to show that I really liked was from Heart of Arkansas United Way. This is their Alice page. Some of the page components, or one of them, is a rich text editor, which is just a body area, but a unique way to use that kind of throughout the page is to color block it with a background color. And they did an excellent job on this page. So they're breaking up text so that it doesn't look as massive with those background colors. They have a nice carousel page component in here as well that you can scroll through to get some facts on all about their Alice program. They use some columns to break up the ways that they're investing in education, financial stability, and health. And then at the bottom, they have some call to action buttons down here using the new link button component that we have too. So just a really great page, ton of information. It does not feel overwhelming, and it gives users an action item. So when they get done reading all this great information, they then have something to do. They can go look at the National Data Center, or they can go read more stories. So really liked this page and wanted to make sure we showed it off. All right, and Allison, those were my demos. So I'm going to pass it back to you for some more demo work now. And you are muted, Allison.
I forget these things. Let me get my screen back. One of the cool things while you were showing that was I was watching the chat line blow up, and people are excited. So am I showing the right screen, by the way? You should be seeing.
Yes.
I don't see my little circle around it anymore. I don't know why. Anyway, great questions popping in here. So here's the cool thing. What we just did was tease the heck out of you. We showed you all these great samples and people are like, whoa, that's cool. How do I do this? How do I do that? Let's actually do some work. So I will share with you, I'm going to do 3 different pages with 3 different layouts with the same content. And we can see how this progresses. And then Jordan's got some samples to show you as well. So I'm logged in and I'm going to do work. So my scenario, yesterday I met with a customer who has all these programs, and her list was actually about 20 items long. And she's like, I actually need to put full descriptions for each one of these programs. And I got all this stuff to do. And I'm just afraid I'm going to have this really long page. So I said, all right, let's rework this page. I made a simplified version of it for my demo site so I can show you the ideas that I shared with the customer. So I'm going to go ahead and take this page, and what I'm thinking I want to do for my innovative programs is I'm going to use accordions. So I'm going to put each one of these in accordions. And someone picked up on a really neat thing. You can either have the accordions tight right next to each other, or you can have a space between each accordion. That's dependent on how you add them. So I will explain that because I saw the question come in like, how did they get a space between their accordion? I'll explain that. So we're going to do this one with accordions right now, and then I'm going to move this down. So here's your concept. If you look at your page and go, I want to redesign this page, that's what I'm going to do. So you can take a step back and take a look at your page and say, how would I rework this? Especially those really long pages. I know this one's not super long. It's because I didn't want to work with a super long page. I wanted to do this simple. I do have header images in on all of these pages, by the way. I also wanted to note, like, this picture is not perfectly sized to 2000 by 400. It's a regular normal picture. It's under 850 kilobytes, so I could upload it. But wherever you put the crosshairs is where it hits center. So by default, it was up here, and it kind of like had them sort of chopped a little funny. So don't forget, you can move the crosshairs on that. Just want to point that out real quick. So when you came over from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8 or to Drupal 9, all of your pages came over as what's known as a basic page. And in a basic page, all we had was this. We have this one box, that's it. And you had to be creative there. And sometimes that was challenging. Now we have components. So what do? I come to the bottom and I take my old Drupal 7 pages and I rework them. So I'm going to add components. What I want to do is I want to take these 3 rows and turn them into accordions, and then I'm going to take this whole segment and drop it below. So let's do that. And I'm going to do it a little quickly because we're being recorded and I have a couple more things to show, and so does Jordan. So I'm going to click add. I'm going to add an accordion. The accordion's the long bar with the plus on the end, okay? In case I know we have recorded videos on how to do these different items. Jordan's done a bunch of training videos out there for you guys. We'll show you how to get to them. So all I'm doing is I'm reworking a page that exists on my site. I'm thinking, I want to lay this out different. So what goes in the accordion? When I click add component, it's what I can place inside the accordion. In this case, I'm just using the rich text editor, and that's what you use a lot. You'll just grab that rich text editor and place your copy there. So I'm going to do all of these real quick. Okay, so here's your trick. Do I want to have a space between my accordions or no space between my accordions? If I want a space between accordions, I come to the bottom add and I start over with a new accordion. If I want all my accordions smashed together, which is my personal preference, then I do it right here, add component to accordion section, and I do component. So someone had asked about that, which I was like, ooh, that was a good catch. At first I thought there was an error when I'd see a space. I'm like, how are they doing that? And then I realized that they were just adding it as a whole nother set. Okay, so I'm doing these super fast so we can see what it looks like. All right, let's grab this copy from here and we'll clear it up and we'll take a look. And then we'll do it with columns and we'll do it with modals. Lots of questions coming in. Hey, ladies, if there's any question that is very specific on what we're doing while I'm just moving this stuff around real quick, if you want to toss it out at us, go ahead. All right, so a little copy and paste is all I'm doing. Of course, it's bringing it in. All right, almost done. So what's crazy about this is what seems like, oh, this is just going to take you forever to do, actually doesn't take that long. Below the accordions, I'm going to add another rich text editor. Pull in, and I'm going to grab this bottom copy just to put it down at the bottom. And I'm going to clear this. Go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, while you are adding, kind of copying and pasting there, I just want to put another reminder out there that we do have a video tutorial that's 5 minutes or less on every single one of our page components. It breaks down how to add it to a page, what it does, what it looks like, and those are all found on our support website as well, but we have them broken out individually. So there's one for accordions, there's one for columns, there's one for the rich text. So that's definitely a good resource to refer to as well.
All right, so this is what I just did. And again, we recorded it, but I took what was all in a basic text editor, and I just put in 3 accordions, and I put my accordions together, but there is a way to put a space between them. And then I took that copy that was still in that top box and I moved it down into another rich text editor. That's sample 1. Okay. Let me do sample 2.
Will you make sure to also show how to set a background color as
well?
well?
I'm going to do that on this one. It's coming. You're good. All right. So this time, Emily's like giving away my secrets. That's okay. It's all good. This time I'm going to take these 3 items and I'm going to put them in 3 columns. And I'm going to use some background color because I really like the way that pops. Like I showed you that Success by 6 page, and we had that one column on the side with the gray background. I think it looks real good. I have people really styling out like newsletter styling type of pages using components now. All right, so once again, same deal, and I just had a different picture at the top. I'm going to add components. This time I'm going to take my 3 ones and I'm going to put them into columns. I'm going to choose to go equal columns. So you have a couple of column options. The cool thing about equal columns, it will go up to at least 5 that I know of. So sometimes, and I'll use columns again on the next page when I'm going to stick modals in each of the columns. So I'll show you what that looks like because that's kind of a neat thing too. So when you set up columns, it says, what do you want for columns? So every time you pick something, it creates a new column. So I want a rich text editor is all I want. It's just a text editor. And since that copy is already good up here, I'm going to grab it. I'm just doing some quick copies and paste. Now, this is when I'm going to take a moment while I'm doing this to remind everybody about copying and pasting. It's okay to copy and paste from within your page. Obviously, it's clean. But don't forget, you do not want to copy and paste from an external source, right? I'm actually just going to leave it. And I am going to use my settings here. I'm going to go with my style settings. So each one of your elements has settings. And my settings are going to allow me to do things like this, like a background color. If I did the blue, my text turns white. If I do the dark gray, my text turns white. So it's based on what you choose here. I could also add a background image should I want, which I might do if I have time later. That is one of the more advanced things for sure. Now I'm going to add my second column, rich text editor. I would probably put headers on these, but I'm going to keep it simple right now because I'm just trying to crank out some stuff. Double click, copy. This system will like you, for the most part, to do Control V. Control C is copy, Control V is paste. Also, reminder, I run into this all the time with folks going, how do I get a single space return? Hold the Shift key down and hit Enter to get a single space. Website always double spaces when you hit Enter. If you hadn't found that detail out, it's a good one to know about. I'm going to do a darker background on that, and then I'll do my third column real quick. And we're going to do the light background, 2 sides with the light background and the dark background in the middle, just because that's what Allison feels like doing today. All right, here we go. So I know some of you are sitting out there going, oh, I've done this stuff and my site looks great. If you have any great page samples you'd like to shoot out and tell us about, we love seeing what you guys have all done, because some of you have done just some amazing stuff. Teach me things all the time. It's pretty cool. Okay. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to bring this other copy down again below my columns. So I'm going to do the rich text editor like I did before. And I'm going to grab that, all this extra copy. Try it again. And I could put a background on this as well. Actually, I did have an image uploaded, so I'm going to grab that. I was messing around with it yesterday when I was practicing for our webinar. So my image, since this is their innovation lab thing, I put a good dark background on it, so it just kind of floats behind it. You'll see what it looks like. So you can actually, like, if you don't want those colors, you can make an image of your own color and put a different color behind it. Silhouette something, use your logo, use something else. Oh, I forgot to clear the stuff at the top. Hang on, one more deal real quick. I'm going to go back to this editor and I'm going to clear that stuff off the top part first, and hit save. And I forgot to tell you about the pencils. So as we add these components in, there's little pencils that help you get back and forth to what you're doing. So see these here, I've got columns. I've got 3 rich text editors. They're each building a column. And then I got that rich text editor at the bottom. So as you keep adding components, it kind of builds upon itself. And coming here to edit to find it might be a little more challenging than just going, oh, I need to edit this. Let's edit this. I'm going to edit this, and I am going to make that whole set of text white. Or I could do like off-white. Now, when you go back to look at it, you're going to be like, what does it say? So that's a rework. But the pencils are kind of cool because the pencils will let you just go to that particular section. Okay, fun, right? All right, last one that I've got. We're doing okay. Jordan, are you all right? I think we're doing good on time. And I know I'm going super fast. I hope the questions are doing okay. I'm going to do this one more time, and this time I'm going to use a modal. If you don't know what a modal is, we didn't have any sample where we showed a modal. A modal pops up stuff. So let's do that one. So last sample with this whole setup. Oh, again, I have a different header picture. I was just playing with them. Just remember with those images and the headers and the images you put on your site, the best practice in today's world is not to have images that have words on them. Why? SEO, like search engines can't read them and etc. Okay, let me tell you what I'm doing. Columns equal again. I want 3 side-by-side modals that pop up. And in order to get them side-by-side, that was a challenge we had before. How do I line things up side-by-side? Using columns will allow it to shift and stack when it's on a phone. That's awesome. That looks good. So columns equal. And now I'm going to add a component to the column, and it is going to be a modal. A modal is a button that pops up something. So I just need the text. It's called colorful columns. It's kind of like the accordion like we did before, where we had the title and then what goes in it. It's a rich text editor with some stuff. And I see the question, so I'm going to answer. Columns uneven is when you might have columns uneven. If you were watching earlier when I showed that Success by 6 page, I had a narrower column on one side and a bigger column on the other side. So you'll be able to say, do I want it narrow on the right? Do I want it narrow on the left? Like if you know your things don't line up very well, if they're not even, then you can do it that way. So I am going to do another modal.
I'll jump into my favorite use of the columns, the 2 columns uneven page component is to use it to place an image and text side by side, because you can have a narrower column for your image and then a wider column for your text, and it'll make sure that they're lining up nicely across from each other with some padding in between. And it's also going to look nice on a mobile phone as well when that shrinks down, but that's a really good use for those 2 uneven columns component that you'll see in the back end.
And my favorite use for columns uneven is actually that's true. I do use it for that. But I have found that when people have a good web form with some information on it, but they need some instructions about it, is having a narrow column on the side with the instruction and having the web form lay right on the page, like next to it. I think that looks fabulous. I've done a few of those for people with people. We did it for a Vita sign up for someone. They had appointment times for folks, which they could schedule right through the website, which was cool, but they needed the instructions on the side, like, hey, what do I bring to appointment? What do I do, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I've just created these 3 modals while we've been sitting here chatting. And then the last thing I need to add is I'm going to add that rich text editor again, so I can move that copy up here down. So this is reworking a page. Do you have to go rework all your pages? No. But are you sitting there right now thinking, hey, there's this one page on my site that I hate. It's like so long. It's got too much information, and you might want to wordsmith it and not make it so wordy, because that is a problem we all get into, and nobody sits and reads all those words. Just saying. So you might want to like look at your really long pages and think, gosh, how could I really like condense it and make this just more engaging? All right, let's hit save on this and see how Allison did today on this one. This is my last one, and then Jordan gets to do some stuff. So I get a break. Here we go. All right, so these are modals. Check this out. It's not a button. We do have buttons. This is a modal. A modal pops up stuff. It could be a video. It could be a picture of someone, like meet our team. It could be whatever you want inside that modal, but it's just a form. We do a lot of times we'll see people pop up a form. So yeah, these are just little modals that have more information. All right. So those were my 3 samples on rebuilding page. And I'm going to stop share, and I'll probably mute again. Miss Jordan, you are up.
Awesome. And Tiffany, I saw your question come in. So I thought the first thing I'll show you before I dive into my demo is an example of those 3 sets of columns that you can see them. This is also on our support site. We have tutorials on all sets of columns, but I wanted you guys to be able to see kind of what equal columns looks like. Below, this is the 2 uneven columns. So you'll be able to see kind of a narrower column on one side, a larger column on the other side. You guys will have the option to choose which side you would like to see that narrower column on. And you can also choose the width dimensions as well. There's a few more styling settings down there. And you also have a 3 uneven column style settings back there too. So wanted to show that quickly before I dived in to my demo. So I created a mock-up volunteer page where you can add information to it. This is not using any page components at all. So I wanted to walk through how I would add some components to this page to make it, give it a little oomph, make it a little more visually pleasing on the eyes. So I've got a couple images in here, learn about, volunteering, what we need, and then, sign up with our application here. So when I look at this page, what I thought I could show was utilizing the carousel page component for the images. I can place a nice carousel up at the top so that all those great volunteer images that we have can scroll through. I'm going to go ahead and leave my section here, my little description, just as it is, as a rich text component, because we do want a little bit of text on the page. And then I am going to take my volunteer needs, meal delivery, Read, Learn, Succeed program, and Sunday services, and pop these into tabs so that they're going to display horizontally on the page. And then I'm going to show you 2 different ways to link a volunteer application on the page as well. So to get started, I'm going to jump in the back end here. There we go. And I'm also going to add a header image. I don't have a header image on this page. I think they look really nice on those internal pages. So we're going to get a header image added here. Let's see. This one I think is a nice one. It's got some volunteers in there. And then I'm going to come down below my preset body area here because I want to start adding page components. So those page components, again, are located directly underneath that body area on your basic pages. You can click the add button and it'll pull up a list of all of the available components. I'm going to start this off with the carousel. That's what I want at the very top. If I wanted to, I always like to point this out, on every single page component that you add, there is an option to put a title. If you use this title field, it will show centered right above your component. It's so totally optional, so you don't have to, but if you wanted to put a title in there, you could do that right here in this field. The carousel also lets you select your slide interval. So how fast do you want these images to rotate through? You can adjust those settings. You can also have it be none, which will just let users click through those images at their own pace. I usually select 3 seconds as my default setting. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my component to make up each one of my slide contents. I will recommend always adding a rich text editor for your carousel slide content. I know image is here, but it does pull from a different media library on your site, and it's typically not where you store your main files in your file browser. If you use the rich text, you will be able to pull in your images that you have loaded in your file browser. And you can also do slides of text if that's what you need to do as well. But I usually always recommend using that rich text page component over the image component, and then using that image icon right here. So I'm going to pull, I had 2 images at the top of this page. I'm going to go ahead and pull those through. This was one of them. All of our Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 sites are going to make you fill in this alternative text field. It is a required field. This is a great field for accessibility. It's what's going to show up if you're hovering over that image, and it's also going to be read to somebody if they're using a screen reading device. So I'm going to fill that out and tell it to center my image. Got my first one in here. I will go ahead and add another component to my slide content. So I have 2 slides. I'll pick rich text. Going to use my image icon in my toolbar. And I'm going to pull that second image, which was this one. All right, so now my carousel is complete. If I had more images, I could continue to add components to make up those slide content. I've never hit a limit adding slides into a carousel component. So you should be able to add as many as you need, and they will just rotate through depending on those interval settings that you set up at the top here.
And Jordan,
yeah,
I'll just throw out there, I see this carousel used a lot for sponsor logos. Mm-hmm. So that's something to think about.
Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah, this would be great to pop even at the bottom of a page to have all your sponsor logos rotate through on their own at the bottom. So I like to work visually. So when I get something added to my page, I usually like to delete it right away so that I'm not reduplicating things. So I can go ahead and remove those images. The next area that I want below those images is going to be this text area right here, the learn more. And I'm just going to use our rich text component right below my carousel. So if we come back down, we have our carousel. If I scroll to the bottom of it, I'm going to use my add button again, and I'm going to select rich text. And I'm just going to put my content in that rich text box so it will be below the carousel. If you are using a basic page and you are using the preset body area and you're using components, anything you have in this body area up top will always show above those page components. So if you want the components to be the very first thing at the top of the page, you need to make sure you clean out or clear out this body area. All right, go ahead and take that out. The next component I'm going to work with is the tabs page component. So I can break up meal delivery, the Read, Learn, Succeed program, and the Sunday service team into tabs. I am also going to take that volunteer needs and pop it at the bottom of that rich text really quickly here. Perfect. All right. So now I'm going to add again. This time I'm going to select tabs. And when I do, these are very similar to how the accordions work. So it's going to ask me what I would like my tab name to be. So I'm going to come back up to my body area here. I'm going to copy meal delivery and do a little copy pasting like what Allison was doing earlier. So there's my meal delivery tab. I now need to add a component to make up the tab body, which again is just a rich text. It is the most common page component that you guys will use. So now we've got our tab body. I can come back up here and copy my info. And then I'm going to repeat this process. I'm going to add another component to the tab. When you do, there's only going to be one choice to select, which is another tab section. And we'll start over with adding our tab name and then adding a rich text to be the body area.
I'm going to make a comment about tabs while you're copying and pasting, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
So tabs, tabs aren't outlined automatically by default. If you put in a support ticket, the team can put an outline on your tabs. So there's more of a definition to them, just so you know. And also, if you start doing tabs, keep the names short or else they kind of run too long. If it runs into a second row for tabs, what you should do is actually start a whole nother set of tabs, which I've seen people do, like they'll have a set of tabs and then they'll have another set of tabs lower down the page. It doesn't, I don't think it functions and looks great when there's this long running list of tabs. So keep the name short, ask for an outline from the support team, and if you need another set of tabs, just do another set of tabs. But they are cool. They do allow a lot. And the first tab always stays open. So whatever your most prominent thing is, what I would put in the first tab. Sorry. There you go, Jordan.
No, that
I was keeping it busy while you were doing it. It was like me. I was like copying and pasting going, oh, someone talk while I copy and paste. We do want you to see the process of like, not just like doing it and saying like, God, there it is. But that's the work that it takes to do it. What I think has been kind of cool in watching Jordan do it, and when I hopefully did it earlier, is it's fairly quick once you know how to do it, of course, but it's not that bad.
All right. Okay, so I've got my 3 tabs added in, and the last thing that I had on this page was that where to fill out that volunteer application. So I just had it in as a hyperlink that said, click here to fill out our application. And there's a couple different ways I think that you can make that look just a little bit nicer. One option is using a link button. So instead of just a hyperlink text, you can actually put a nice little button in there so that users can see a button, know that, hey, I should probably click on that button. That's a call to action, and they can go right to your web form. This is a great option if you have a web form that is multiple pages long. You usually do not want to pull multi-page web forms in on the page. You want to link out to the web form itself. So if you have a multi-page web form, I definitely recommend using a nice button to let users access that web form easily. You can set the color of your button. These colors in here also are going to be dependent on your organization's branding. So we may be seeing different colors here on this site right now. I'm going to make this one red there we go. I can put the URL here. So this is where I would put the web form URL. I am just going to link it to the homepage for the time being, but this is where you would put that web form URL. And then you can control what that button says as well. So click here to sign up to volunteer, or click here to fill out or complete our volunteer application, whatever you want that button to say. Additionally, some of you guys may not be using web forms on the site for your application. So if it is an external form on an external website, you also have the option of making that button open up in a new window so that users can really easily get back to your website after they've completed the form. So always recommend setting the link target to new window if you're linking anywhere else besides your own website. So this is one way to add it in. The other way is to just add the web form directly on this page as well. One of the components that you'll see is a web form component. When you add this in, it is going to give you a drop-down list of all of the web forms that you have loaded on your site. We have quite a few on our site here. I'm going to grab the volunteer opportunities web form. And on the web form component, I usually will always put a component title in here because I want to put the title of the web form or the call to action, what the web form is down below. So I'm going to say, please complete our volunteer application below. And what this will do is it'll put that title centered right above my web form so users know what to do with the form. Every component, as Allison mentioned before, has styling settings. They're a little bit different depending on which component you are working with. But I'm going to add a little background color behind this web form just to make it pop a little more on the page. We'll do the light gray color. And now we've got all our components added. We have our web form, our button. We have our 3 tabs that are breaking out the different volunteer opportunities. We have the rich text so that we have our nice description about why you should volunteer. And we have our carousel at the top. It's going to rotate those images through. So now I can officially clean out this body area and go down and save my page. Ooh, it does get long, but I promise once you start working with them, you'll become a lot more familiar. It'll be almost second nature. So now we have our nice header image up at the top of volunteers. I've got our carousel that's going to scroll through those images, our rich text. I have our components here, or I'm sorry, our tabs that I can click through and get the information on the different volunteer needs. And then I have either a button to go ahead and sign up to volunteer, or I've got the application. I can just start signing up to volunteer. And this is that component title. So if you fill it out, again, every single component has that optional component title field. If you fill it out, it will become centered directly above that component. So you could technically add one for the link button, for the tabs, for the rich text component even, and for the carousel, it would show directly above. So just a nice way to kind of rework a page using some of the other components. And that was my demo. So I will stop sharing my screen. We can open it up for questions now, Allison, unless there's anything else that we need to make sure we're touching on.
All right, so resources. As we wrap up here, we do want to make sure you know how to get some of this information. Support, our support team. So we've got your account managers, you've got your project managers. If you're upgrading, both Emily and Sunsray are on our project management team. And then we got our support team. And our lead support guys, if you don't know them by name yet, are Jeff and Marshall. Jeff is mostly on our morning time and Marshall in the afternoons. From your site, you have a link to support. Hopefully everybody has reached the support site and knows how to submit a ticket. We know that those components, the first time you work them on your site, sometimes they don't, like you put a background color and then the text doesn't stay in the box, or something might not look right to you. You're like, it didn't look like how Allison did it. Submit a support ticket, please. If anything doesn't look styled right, don't be okay with it. Just submit a ticket, get some help with that. Also, Doran mentioned the videos. When you're on the support site, right here at the word websites, if you click it, these are the Drupal 8 and 9 components that we just showed you. Click see more. And I can't tell you how many people have missed that word. So they are 2 to 3 minute videos, Doran, aren't they? Like they're pretty short, right? On
yeah.
Accordions. Yeah.
The only one I think that is a little longer is the columns, because we're covering all 3 sets of the columns in that video. So that one's maybe 12 minutes max, but we tried to keep them short and sweet.
Okay, yeah. So come back to these and you will have little videos for those as well. Couple other references. You heard us talking, this was me copying and pasting earlier. I meant to clear that. You heard us talking about don't copy and paste from a Word document and drop it on your website. Literally, when I was helping fix that one Success by 6 page that she asked us to do, the copy had come from another source. It had weird indents, it had all sorts of things. So I copied and pasted it. I like to use a site called editpad.org. It's free. I just open that up and I drop it in here. What happens is the formatting doesn't come through. the font, the color, because if you copy and paste already formatted items into your site, you override your website, and your website does have a formatting style guide. So we want to stick with that. Another free resource that I like to use is called Photopea. If you are not using any kind of photo tool, photopea.com, you can quickly resize. If your image is too big and you can't bring it into the site, there's easy tricks on this. I think we have a video out there on Photopea. If not, you can ask us. We'll help you with how to use some of that. And then our image galleries. If you're struggling with images, header images are amazing. You really want them. This is an agreement we have with iStock Photo. These images are awesome. You can search through them, images.oneeach.com. Someone wants to drop that link in the chat for folks. It's $100 a year subscription, and you can request as many images out of here as you want. They're licensed for website only, but it could really help you with that header image area, and they're all sized properly. All right, and then the last thing I was going to show you, for those of you who watch this and went, well, it's too much for me. I can't take that on right now. Site maintenance, pay us to do it. That's exactly what I was doing with that Success by 6. She said, help me rework it. I'll pay you guys. It's $50 an hour. Doesn't take us as long to do things, because we like do this in our sleep. Jordan and I are reformatting all the time. So that's just an option out there should you choose to use it. All right, let me go back to my final screens. My last thing on your resources are us, your account managers. We all have a link to book meetings. So oneeach.com/Allison brings up my schedule calendar. I'm so sorry that I'm booked out about almost into July now. So if you know you're going to want to work on something later, just get on my calendar if you're one of my accounts. If you're not, that's fine. Jordan /Jordan and /Christina. So we all have our calendars out there that you can book meetings with us as needed, or just reach out to us as well. And so to wrap this up, look at us, 5 minutes till. I'm so proud of us. Good job, Miss Jordan. The last slide. And questions. Emily, Christina, how did that chat list go?
Oh, it's going pretty good. I think we've been kind of staying on top of questions as they've come in. I did put out there if anyone had any that we didn't get answered. I've not gotten any feedback, so hopefully we've been able to. And of course, if we didn't get your questions answered and you think of one as soon as the meeting is over, as Alice said, just reach out to us and we'll be happy. Sure. Oh, I just had some, do you have videos for Civi CRM?
That's a whole nother webinar, folks. Kind of, but Civi CRM has had some changes, I think, since a lot of those videos were made. So Civi CRM would be a good one to schedule with your account manager and let us know specifics. I will let you know, I know I'll do this a lot of times with my customers. If it's something specific, like I really need a little tutorial on how to set up a report, I'll go and record it for you and send it to you on your site so it's specific for you. So we do kind of stuff like that. Just let us know what do you need help with, and we'll help you.
I will also say too, if you are just poking around out on the internet and you come across a page that you really like, whether it's within your organization or not, send it over to us. There's usually a way using the page components that we can recreate something very similar to your page. So if you ever find something that you really like, send me the link. I can kind of walk through, okay, I think we can accomplish this maybe by pulling in, these components here. So 99% of the time we can get something pretty close to it. And if you are just looking for advice too, if you have a page and you don't know where to start, send me the link. I'd love to take a look at it and give you some recommendations on which components to pull in on that page.
And here's a neat thing that I've had a few, I should have brought a sample up of it. With COVID and the way the world's changed, I have a lot of organizations who are no longer going to do the big print annual reports, and they're using the components and styling out pages to do their annual report through their website and saving a whole heck of a lot of money. Think about it. It's a good idea. Nancy, I see your question on Civi CRM. We should chat. I got you. Any other questions? Look at us being so on time. I'm so proud. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you've picked up some ideas. I know that was a fire hose. Like, we threw a lot at you. So good luck, and please reach out to us for help. Reach out to support if you have any challenges there. And we'll be sending this recording out to everyone. We'll see you in another month for our next meeting. All right. Any final words, anybody?
No, just thank you everyone so much for attending. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will keep an eye out for your emails to come in.
Thank you all. You have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks.